British Airways Club Suite or Qatar's QSuite? Which is the better business class suite experience? Well, I mean, it's the QSuite, obviously. But before we just end the video right there are advantages and disadvantages to each, and today I'm going to break those down to help you decide which one you'd rather book, whether you're using cash or Avios.
Now, starting with the experience on the ground, both of them will offer fast track services for check-in and security. And it'll then be time to make your way to the lounge, and in this area, Qatar blows BA out of the water. The Al Marjan lounges in Doha are huge spaces, really luxurious and comfortable with plenty of different seating options. There's places that you can go for a sleep, really good showers, and even a small gym in the Al Marjan Garden Lounge. The food is really good quality with an extensive a la carte menu to complement the buffet. And of course, plenty of great drinks that you can order from the bar. And even their outstation lounges like the one at Heathrow is really good and offers those same facilities. Meanwhile, I'd probably describe the BA lounges as being decent. They're nice enough spaces and there's some good seating options, but they generally are quite overcrowded. Something that BA are attempting to remedy by really making it difficult for people to attain status going forward. The food and drink is nice enough, nothing too special, and it is all self-service and buffet. Ultimately nothing wrong with it, but just doesn't come close to the offerings in the Qatar lounges. And even things like the toilets and showers just don't feel particularly premium. But let's get on board and take a look at the difference in the suites. Both seats are comfy and offer a good amount of space. The Qatar's QSuite definitely has a bit more overall space, but probably less space for your legs. Unless you have your legs elevated, you can't really stretch them out too far in the QSuite. Both suites have a closing door, but the walls and doors on BA are quite low, so it doesn't feel super private, especially when people are walking up and down the cabin, although you won't really see anyone whilst you're seated. Meanwhile, the QSuite has nice high walls, and you really do feel like you've got your own private place once you've got that door closed. That said, if you're not looking for privacy and you're actually travelling with someone else, the QSuite comes out on top as well. It's a really great setup for couples where you can share this private space together, makes it really easy to talk to each other, and it can convert into a double bed in the sky. In the Club Suite, the way that the seats are set out, even if you do choose the middle seats to be next to each other, because of the way the seats are angled, you are actually quite far away from your partner, so it can make it quite difficult to talk. So the QSuite's the best option if you want privacy, but also the best option if you want to be sociable. In terms of in-seat storage, I think the QSuite probably wins on overall volume, but it is just this one area that you've got to store things. The Club Suite instead has a few smaller areas that you can store things, but I find this a bit more practical because it's easier to know where everything is. You're not having to pile things on top of each other like you do in the QSuite storage bin. When in bed mode, both of them have got their pros and cons. As I mentioned before, with the QSuite, it can be turned into a double bed if there's two of you. Qatar provide pyjamas from the White Company, and they also provide some really comfy bedding. The only problem with this bedding is it is really thick, so if the cabin's quite warm it can just be a bit too much. And I do also find the foot could be a bit restrictive and narrow in the QSuite. For the Club Suite, BA don't provide any pyjamas, and the bedding is from the White Company. It is fairly comfortable bedding, but the mattress topper is pretty useless and probably needs replacing. The seat itself has a few lumps and bumps that aren't the most comfortable, especially sleeping on your side, but I did find the leg space a bit more comfortable and felt that in general I could just stretch out a bit more in the Club Suite than I could in the QSuite. Now let's talk food and drink, and once again Qatar are just a step above BA in this category. All the food I've had with Qatar has been fantastic quality. There's always a really good menu, which you can order whenever you want for dine on demand, and some routes even include a caviar service, which is typically reserved for first class on most airlines. The food on BA isn't bad, but I've just never really been completely blown away by it. They do curries quite well, but I had a really tough steak on my last flight, which really stood out as poor quality in contrast to some really good ones that I'd had on Qatar just shortly before that. I've also had a few instances on BA where they've run out of the options that I want, and I've even had an occasion on BA where they didn't bring the main course that I'd ordered, and when I asked about it they said they'd then run out. They went to get me a similar meal from Premium Economy that wasn't quite as good, and then I later saw a member of crew eating my original meal choice in the galley later. The drink service I think is fairly comparable. There's some slightly more premium options available on Qatar and a few more cocktail options as well. I think a big differentiator is the service from the crew though. I think the Qatar staff have just been a bit more attentive. BA can be absolutely brilliant in this area, but they're just very hit or miss. After your meal you might want to settle down and watch something, and the in-flight entertainment systems are fairly comparable. Both will have a really extensive selection of films and TV shows to watch. Both have Wi-Fi on board. On Qatar you do get 1 hour free and then you pay for the rest. BA it's all paid, although you do get free messaging services. Although worth noting that Qatar is in the process of rolling out Starlink internet on their flights, and that will be made free for everyone. Both BA and Qatar offer some quite nice amenities in their amenity kit. With BA this is provided by the White Company. You get the usual things like the eye mask, earplugs, toothbrush, toothpaste, and then you also get some moisturiser, lip balm and a pulse point. The Qatar kit is provided by Diptyque and it's a bit more extensive. The eye mask isn't quite as nice as the BA one, but the rest of the stuff is pretty good. You get a moisturiser, a body lotion, lip balm and even a fragrance, but it wasn't a very nice one, it just kind of smelt like grass. And then they'll also stock a few essentials in the bathroom like toothbrush and toothpaste. Overall I put the Qatar one slightly ahead on this one as well. But I think a really crucial element that we still need to consider is cost and availability. I tend to generally find, although this won't always be the case, but I do generally find that BA tend to be the cheaper cash option compared with Qatar. If you're using Avios, however, Qatar flights will generally cost less than the BA ones unless you've got a BA companion voucher that can halve the cost. For example, if you are flying one way from Heathrow to Doha, you are going to pay about double the Avios if you are flying with BA without a companion voucher. But you will pay about twice as much in the taxes and charges on the Qatar flight. But that will vary a lot by destination. That's mainly just down to the large taxes and charges out of Heathrow. And flying elsewhere, the Qatar taxes and charges will tend to be quite low. If, like me, you live in the UK, you're probably more likely to have a direct option with BA, whereas Qatar is always going to require a stopover with Doha, although the lounges do make it one of the best stopovers you can have. It's also worth keeping in mind as well that Qatar is pretty notorious for equipment swaps, meaning it is very difficult to actually guarantee QSuite. Now, plenty of their other business class offerings are really good anyway, and I would still rate most of these higher than BA, but they do also have some fairly terrible older products that you wouldn't want to get stuck with. The Club Suite, on the other hand, well, it has taken BA absolutely ages to roll out the Club Suite to their whole fleet, and they're still nowhere close to completing that. So there are still plenty of routes where you'll still get the old yin-yang style Club World seats, but it is getting a lot easier to find Club Suite routes these days, especially if you're flying in or out of Heathrow. So overall, as I said from the start of the video, the QSuite definitely offers the better overall experience compared to the BA Club Suite. But for those of us based in the UK, the Club Suite will typically be the easy to book product, and it will offer better sleep for many on overnight flights. But in almost every other area, the QSuite wins out. But let me know what you think. Have you flown both of these? And if not, which would you prefer to try? I hope you found that video useful, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.